You know that feeling when you discover something about your body that completely changes everything you thought you knew about pleasure. That moment when you realize you've been missing out on an entire dimension of physical sensation that was always there, just waiting to be unlocked. Well, what I'm about to share with you might sound impossible at first, maybe even a little unbelievable, but thousands of people around the world have experienced this and are quietly transforming their intimate lives because of it. This isn't about some complicated technique that requires years of practice or special equipment. This is about tapping into a natural capability your body already has, something that's been sitting dormant, waiting for you to discover it. And the best part, once you learn how to access this, you'll wonder why nobody ever told you about it before. So if you've ever felt like your intimate experiences have become predictable, routine, or less exciting than they used to be, if you've ever wondered whether there's more to physical pleasure than what you've been experiencing, or if you're simply curious about exploring new dimensions of your own body's potential, then you need to hear this. Because what we're talking about today isn't just about a different technique or a new approach. It's about fundamentally expanding what you thought was possible. And I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to see your body in a completely different light. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Most people go through their entire lives believing that physical pleasure and orgasm happen in only one way, following a very specific script that involves direct manual stimulation. It's what we see in movies. It's what we read about. It's what everyone assumes is the only path. But here's the truth that very few people talk about. Your body is capable of experiencing climax without any manual stimulation whatsoever. Yes, you read that correctly. No hands needed. This phenomenon is called a hands-free orgasm, and it's not some mythical experience that only a select few can achieve. It's a real physiological response that anyone can learn to experience with the right understanding and approach. Now, before you dismiss this as impossible or too good to be true, let me explain the science behind it. Your body's capacity for pleasure isn't limited to one specific type of stimulation or one particular area. Your entire nervous system is wired for sensation, and your brain plays a massive role in how you experience arousal and climax. In fact, studies have shown that some people can reach orgasm through thought alone, through specific breathing patterns, through targeted muscle contractions, or through indirect stimulation that doesn't involve touching their genitals at all. The brain is incredibly powerful when it comes to sexual response, and when you learn to harness that power, you open up entirely new pathways to pleasure that you probably didn't even know existed. Think about it this way. You've probably experienced it. Moments where arousal builds without any physical touch at all. Maybe from an intense conversation, a vivid fantasy, or even just a certain look from someone you're attracted to. That's your brain and nervous system responding to stimuli and creating physical sensations throughout your body. A hands-free orgasm takes that natural response and amplifies it, teaching your body to follow that pathway all the way to climax. It's not magic. It's not impossible. It's simply understanding and working with your body's natural capabilities in a way that most people never explore. So why should you even consider trying this? What's the point of exploring hands-free orgasms when the traditional approach already works? Well, there are actually several powerful reasons why this kind of exploration can be incredibly beneficial for your intimate life. First and foremost, it breaks you out of routine. If you're like most people, your solo intimate experiences probably follow a fairly predictable pattern. You know what works, you know how to get there, and you follow the same basic script almost every time. While there's nothing wrong with that, it can lead to a kind of plateau where everything starts feeling a bit mechanical or less exciting than it used to be. When you introduce something completely new, like hands-free stimulation, you're essentially hitting the reset button on your body's responses. You're waking up nerve pathways that might have become less sensitive. You're engaging your mind in new ways, and you're creating fresh associations between arousal and sensation. This can make everything feel more intense, more interesting, and more exciting again. Second, exploring hands-free orgasms literally expands what your body is capable of feeling. This isn't just psychological, it's actually neurological. Every time you experience pleasure in a different way, your nervous system creates new connections and strengthens certain pathways. You're training your body to access sensation and pleasure through multiple routes rather than just one. Think of it like learning a new language or a new physical skill. At first it feels strange and difficult, but over time, it becomes natural and even effortless. The same thing happens with pleasure. The more you explore different types of stimulation and different pathways to climax, the more responsive and capable your body becomes overall. People who regularly experiment with hands-free techniques often report that their regular intimate experiences become more intense as well, because they've essentially expanded their body's capacity for sensation. Third, hands-free exploration engages your entire body in ways that traditional stimulation often doesn't. When you rely solely on manual stimulation focused on one area, you're activating a relatively small portion of your nervous system. But when you explore hands-free techniques, you're bringing your whole body into the experience. You might be engaging your pelvic floor muscles, using rhythmic movement of your hips and thighs, focusing on deep breathing that moves through your abdomen and chest, or even using your imagination to create full-body sensations. This holistic engagement can lead to what many people describe as a more expansive or full-body orgasm, where the sensation isn't just localized in your genitals, but ripples through your entire body. Some people describe it as waves of pleasure that start in one place and spread outward, or as a deeper, more sustained climax that lasts longer than what they typically experience. It's a completely different quality of sensation, and once you experience it, you'll understand why so many people become enthusiastic about this type of exploration. Now let's talk about how you can actually begin exploring hands-free orgasms. The most important thing to understand right from the start is that this is an experiment, not a performance test. You might not achieve a hands-free orgasm on your first try, or even your first several tries, and that's completely normal and okay. Every person's body responds differently, and what works quickly for one person might take more practice for another. The goal here isn't to put pressure on yourself to achieve a specific outcome. It's to explore, to pay attention to how your body responds, and to enjoy the process of discovery, approaching it with curiosity and patience rather than expectation and pressure will make the entire experience much more enjoyable and ironically, will probably help you succeed faster. One of the most accessible methods for beginners is using gentle grinding or pressure against an object like a pillow, a folded blanket, or even your mattress. This technique works through rhythmic movement and indirect pressure rather than direct touch. You can lie face down with the pillow positioned between your legs and use slow rolling movements of your hips to create friction and stimulation. The key is to find a rhythm that feels good and to pay close attention to how the sensation builds. Because your hands aren't involved, you're forced to rely on body movement and muscle engagement, which naturally brings more of your body into the experience. Your hips, thighs, and core all become active participants. Some people find that varying the speed, pressure, or angle of movement helps build arousal more effectively. Others prefer to stay with a consistent rhythm and let the sensation gradually intensify. There's no right way to do it. You simply experiment and notice what your body responds to. Another popular method involves using water, specifically the flow from a shower head or bathtub faucet. The advantage of this approach is that water can provide incredibly gentle, continuous stimulation without any manual effort on your part. You can position yourself so that the water flow reaches your genital area and then adjust the pressure and temperature to find what feels most pleasurable. The sensation of water is quite different from touch. It's softer, more diffuse, and creates a kind of pulsing stimulation that many people find deeply relaxing and arousing at the same time. You can also move your body slightly to change the angle and intensity of the water flow, which gives you control without using your hands. Some people like to combine water play with other techniques like pelvic floor contractions or deep breathing to amplify the effects. Speaking of toys, there are creative ways to use them for hands-free exploration as well. The basic principle is to position the toy in a way that allows you to move against it rather than holding it. For men, this might mean using a sleeve-style device that's secured to a stable surface, allowing you to create stimulation through hip movement and thrust. For women, it could be a small vibrator or flexible toy positioned on the bed or against a pillow, so you can grind against it, or use body positioning to create pressure and sensation. The idea is to free your hands completely and rely on body movement and positioning to create the stimulation you need. This not only creates a different physical sensation, but also engages different muscle groups and requires a different kind of body awareness. There are also wearable toys designed specifically for hands-free use. Vibrating rings, for example, can be worn during arousal and provide continuous stimulation without requiring any hand involvement. There are also remote-controlled toys that can be worn inside underwear or positioned externally, and these can be controlled either by you or by a partner. This adds an element of surprise and unpredictability that can be incredibly exciting. Not knowing exactly when the sensation will intensify or change keeps your nervous system alert and engaged in a way that manual stimulation often doesn't. If you're exploring this with a partner, it can also become a playful form of connection and communication, where you're sharing control and creating pleasure together in a new way. One of the most subtle yet powerful techniques for hands-free orgasm is pelvic floor engagement, sometimes referred to by the exercises designed to strengthen these muscles. Your pelvic floor is a group of muscles that support your pelvic organs and play a significant role in sexual response and orgasm. When you intentionally contract and release these muscles in a rhythmic pattern, you can create internal sensations of arousal and pleasure. Some people can actually bring themselves to orgasm through pelvic floor contractions alone, without any external stimulation whatsoever. This technique requires practice and body awareness, but it's incredibly discreet and can be practiced almost anywhere. The key is to focus on the sensations, to breathe deeply, and to maintain a steady rhythm of contraction and release. As you become more skilled at isolating and controlling these muscles, you may notice that you can create increasingly intense sensations and even trigger orgasmic responses. Then there's the power of imagination, which might be the most underutilized tool in sexual exploration. Your brain is your most powerful sexual organ, and when you fully immerse yourself in a vivid fantasy, your body responds with real physical arousal. Some people can reach orgasm through fantasy and focused attention alone, without any physical stimulation at all. This is sometimes called a mental orgasm or thinking off. And while it might sound impossible, it's a documented phenomenon that many people have experienced. The key is to create a fantasy that's detailed, engaging, and personally arousing, and then to focus your full attention on it. Notice how your body responds as the fantasy unfolds. Pay attention to the physical sensations that arise: warmth, tingling, tension, arousal, and allow them to build without trying to force anything. The more you practice this kind of focused attention combined with fantasy, the stronger the physical responses become. There are also guided audio experiences available online that are designed specifically to help people experience hands-free orgasms. These recordings typically combine elements of guided visualization, breathing instructions, and suggestive language to help you access arousal and pleasure through mental and emotional engagement. They can be particularly helpful if you're new to this type of exploration, because they provide structure and guidance, helping you understand what to focus on and how to work with your body's responses. Finally, there's a technique called orgasmic breathing, which combines deep, intentional breathing with full body awareness to circulate erotic energy throughout your entire system. The basic principle is that breath is intimately connected to arousal and sensation. When you breathe shallowly or hold your breath, you tend to localize sensation and create tension. But when you breathe deeply and consciously, particularly into your abdomen, you create space for sensation to expand and move through your body. Orgasmic breathing typically involves taking slow, deep breaths that fill your belly, then exhaling completely while maintaining awareness of physical sensations. As you continue this breathing pattern, you focus on any feelings of warmth, tingling, or arousal, and imagine or feel that energy spreading from your genitals throughout your entire body. This technique can take practice, but many people report that it leads to longer, more intense, and more full-body orgasms compared to what they experience with traditional stimulation. When you're experimenting with any of these techniques, remember that patience and self-compassion are essential. Trying something completely new can feel awkward, strange, or even frustrating at first. You might not reach orgasm immediately, and you might have sessions where nothing seems to work at all. That's completely normal and doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong or that your body is incapable of this type of response. Sexual response is highly influenced by your mental and emotional state. If you're stressed, distracted, or putting pressure on yourself to perform. It's much harder for your body to relax into pleasure. The more you can approach this exploration with a sense of play, curiosity, and acceptance, the more likely you are to succeed. Sometimes the breakthrough comes when you stop trying so hard and simply allow yourself to enjoy whatever sensations arise. It's also worth noting that hands-free exploration can be a wonderful addition to partnered intimacy once you understand what works for your body. When you bring these discoveries into shared experiences, you're opening up new avenues for connection, communication, and mutual pleasure. You might explore hands-free techniques together, where your partner watches and encourages you, or you might incorporate remote-controlled toys that your partner controls. You could practice orgasmic breathing together, creating a shared rhythm and energy. Or you might simply share what you've learned about your body and use that knowledge to enhance your intimate experiences in other ways. The exploration itself often leads to deeper conversations about desire, pleasure, and intimacy, which strengthens connection and trust.